I'm very happy to be with all of you again. We were here a couple of months ago, but it seems like years ago, isn't it? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more, and tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. This is our ultimate goal, Amala Bhakti, pure devotion for the divine couple. But although they're very near, Ishopanishad said they're very far and very near as well. Obviously they're far because, well, Goloka Vrindavan is the topmost planet in the spiritual world. But the Lord's very near as well. He's present within our hearts, as in our sojourn through material existence. We were in Geneva one time, and Prabhupada said that when we fell from the spiritual world, Krishna accompanied us for some distance, and he encouraged us not to go. I heard this. There's always debate. Did we fall from the spiritual world, or did we fall of some other place? But Prabhupada said, as we were falling, the Lord was accompanying us, and he was requesting us to not go, to come back. But Prabhupada said, because he's the supreme independent, being his part and parcel, we have a minute amount of independence. Just like the sun is very big, but the rays of the sun, they come from the sun, they're one in quality, not in quantity. So we have the same qualities as the Lord, but in a very, very minute portion. But we didn't agree. And we we kept coming. London. Really? When Prabhupada arrived in London one year, it was snowing, and the newspaper reporter said, Swamiji, how do you like London? And Prabhupada said very emphatically, London is hell. Because it's part of the material world. From the topmost planet in this universe down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So anywhere and everywhere falls under that category in the eyes of a pure devotee. So we fell, but he accompanies us within the heart. And he's more eager that we come back home, because home is where the heart is, and ultimately our hearts are in love with Krishna and everything connected to Krishna, Tadiya, in the spiritual world. He wants us to come home more than we do. Therefore, he regularly comes to bring us home, regularly. He's a little tricky sometimes. He doesn't come directly. He comes as a fish. He comes as a boar. He comes as half man, half lion. He even comes as a dwarf. When I first heard that Vamanadev, that the Lord took the form of a dwarf, I thought, well, he's really merciful. He took the form of a woman, Mohini. He comes in a varieties of ways to trick us into coming back to the spiritual world. Because his representative in this world, Maya Devi, she's very powerful. Her business is to keep us here until she sees that we're sincere about going there. She's actually an expansion of Yoga Maya, Purnamasi. And Purnamasi is one of our favorite characters, one of our favorite personalities in Sri Vrindavan Dham, the Panam Gatim, the goal of life. Her service is wonderful. She's making all the arrangements every morning for Radha and Krishna's pastimes. She makes them up, not make up like make-believe, but absolute reality. She decides what time Krishna will go into the forest, perhaps with his cowherd friends, herding the cows. She'll make the exact time in her planning schedule. When Krishna will say to the cowherd boys, "Oh, one calf has disappeared. He's somewhere nearby. I'm going to find him." So the boys are in great anxiety because they don't want to be separated from Krishna for even a moment. That's how strong their love bond is. But he goes, and Radharani makes some excuse at Varshana with their friends to go out, and they meet. All that's arranged by Purnamasi. What type of breeze there'll be, what birds will be there, what melodies they'll sing, different types of birds, what melodies they sing, when the bees will come into the scene. A swarm of bees will come, and how loud their buzzing will be, and what their buzzing will be about. Nothing's ordinary. Everything in Vrindavan is extraordinary. So when the bees hum, they're humming the Vedas. They're humming the Vedas. And when the parrots sing in 5 types of tunes, they're just singing the glories of Radha and Krishna because they know them intimately. Sukha and Sari, Sukha and Sari. They're the pet, how do you say in Russian? Papai? How do you call a parrot in Russian? Yeah, I love that. It's better than English, parrot. So cute. They know because they're messengers. Because Radha and Krishna, due to social convention, it's a Vedic culture, quote unquote. It serves the purpose, but so boys and girls can't meet. So Radha and Krishna, these parrots go back and forth with messages. So sweet. Not drones. Parrots. This is the beauty of Vrindavan. They bring their messengers back and forth. So she decides which parrots. They all want to come, but she decides who comes, who stays back. What the air will, what will perfume the air? Is it sandalwood? Is it parijata? Is it aguru oud? What perfume will be in the air? And what the particular bhav, the particular mood will be? What type of rasa, what type of loving sentiments will pervade that particular pastime in that particular place? And who's her helper? Vrinda Devi. They meet at Gupta Kund. Gupta Kund is right next to Vrinda Kund. You've been to Vrinda Kund? How many have been to Vrinda Kund? And then just the lake a little bit further down is Gupta Kund. And that's where they meet. And they make, every day they make this plan how the pastimes will unfold. And even sometimes they include the asuras just to bring the mood up. The Brajabasis, Agasura is coming, Trinivarta is coming, everyone's afraid. So what do? Krishna, help! Their dependence upon the love for the Lord increases. Of course, in Goloka Vrindavan, there's no demons. No demons. No asuras. We could even put the category of Mayavadis. Prabhupada said that the worst offenders, because they say there's no God, he has no form, he has no beautiful lips, he has no cascading hair like Keshava. They just say he doesn't exist. They're the worst offenders. And when they try to get into the spiritual world, Shiva's there with his trident. It's described by Jiva Goswami in the Sandarbhas. When the Mayavadis, for whatever reason, can you imagine, there's no God, but they want to go to where God lives. I don't understand. They're crazy. So when they approach Vaikuntha, then Shiva's there. And Shiva has his trident. You see that trident. You see the Shivites in India, they carry, in honor of Shiva, they carry the trident. They look fearsome, the Shiva Bhaktas, right? They do great austerities they perform. So they have their trident. So he's the original trident holder. And as these Mayavadis try to approach the spiritual world, he takes that trident, he throws it. Boom! Hits the Mayavad. And he takes the form of a beautiful jewel, a glowing jewel. Varanasi. A lot of Shaivites are in Varanasi. Kashi, it's a beautiful Shiva temple there. And that, Jiva Goswami says, that jewel glows very beautifully. It glows like effulgence. And they're thinking, I am God. I am effulgent. But so it's protected. So in this world, Yogamaya, she expands as Mahamaya. And she has the thankless task. It's a thankless task, actually, to keep Krishna's sons and daughters in this world. It's a thankless task, just to keep us bound, to make this world look so attractive. We get so distracted from the attraction. It's kind of connected, right? Distracted by the attraction. And we forget who we are. We forget who is God. We forget our eternal relationship with Him. And we're adamant. Even we hear spiritual teachings. Even we come across spiritual teachings. People still will not surrender. There's that English saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. It's a beautiful rhyme, poetry. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion to, I'm telling you it's like this, do you accept? No. I'm telling you. All right. But he's not really convinced. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So although there's religion in the world, there's dharma, especially as Kali Yuga goes on, because of the sinful activities, people can't hear. The more sinful activities you perform, the more adverse you are to dharma or religion. And especially in this age when there's abortion and there's mass cow slaughter, people are becoming less and less inclined towards dharma. Even in Bharat. In India is one of the second main exporter of cow flesh to the world. Can you believe that? India is the second only to, I don't know where the other country is, but second only to another country for the export of beef. So therefore Nelson Mandela, he wrote one book about his country, South Africa, which we can compare to someone, pious person in India. He said, cry, my beloved country. It's a famous book. Cry, my beloved country. Because at one time there was apartheid, racial discrimination at the utmost. So he wrote, cry, my beloved country. So we can say the same. We always say, Jai Hind, Jai Sri Ram. Okay, if you're Jai Sri Ram and you want Raj, you want the kingdom of Ram, stop killing Mother Cow. Whatever you have to do. It's equal to killing your mother. Because mother's real initial gift is her blood. Because milk is nothing that blood transformed in the breast. And scientists can't even explain how it happens. To date, they don't know how the mother makes milk from blood. So she's giving her blood. You give your blood, like people, there's some car accident, people go give their blood. It's considered a very humanitarian thing, give your blood. Mothers are giving their blood to their infants for 4 or 5 years, at least in Vedic culture. So cows, they give their milk for years, right? Even we take the calf away at one point and she keeps giving milk. And because she's loved by the cowherd boys in our ISKCON farms, sometimes those cows give more milk than any other cows and any other farms in the area because they're loved. So Dharma becomes prevalent in Kali Yuga because of sinful activity. And still he comes. Still he comes. It's amazing. Chanakya Pandit says in Niti Shastra, which really means logic, he says, don't go to a place where there's not a pious ruler. Don't go to North Korea. We can all agree on that one. Don't go to North Korea. Don't go to a place where there's not a clean flowing river. because water is so important in our lives. We take it for granted, actually. Don't go to a place where there's not a good physician, a good doctor. Today I went to my doctor in London, Karuna Rasa. He's taking good care of me. You know, he's very expert and he's very loving. And I go and then I leave, he gives me a donation. I never went to a doctor where you don't have to pay, and he gives you a donation. Plus, he came to pick me up at where I'm staying today. I never met a doctor who picks you up to bring us to his surgery. So he says, don't go to a place where there's no doctor, and don't go to a place where people are inimical towards you. Don't go to a place, good doctor, it has to be good water has to be a good ruler, and don't go to a place where people don't like you. So what's the absolute place where people don't like God? The material world. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar arbitu arjuna mamopeti de kontiya punarjanma nividyate. This is a place where you come to forget. You come to forget. And still he comes? Like, that's the news, right? That's the news. People like to read the news. What's happening? What's the major news story? I didn't even want to say Trump's name. Oh, I said it. Or Biden, or I don't want to get in trouble. Maybe there's a politician here, but I know you're having elections today, right? Mass elections to throw out the conservatives. How do I know all that? So, this is a place of forgetfulness. And when people become mad with forgetfulness, it's called dementia, or Alzheimer's. It's the most vicious, horrible disease of all. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. And I went to see her at a later stage, and she slammed the door in my face, and she called the police. It's the truth. I went to see her. I loved her, since I was a boy. She provided so much for me, loving. She was quite wealthy. And when she had Alzheimer's, I came, and she slammed the door, locked it, and called the police. The police came and took me to the police. I said, I'm her grandson. And we had to call her daughter, my Aunt Judy. I still remember Aunt Judy. My father said, the first word you said when you were a baby was, ope the door, Jude. No, ope the door, dude. Dude's a famous word now. I'm the first one to say it. Because I couldn't say Jude, so I said dude. I was a little boy, and she was opening the door. I wanted to get out and play, and I said, ope the door, dude. So we called Judy, and Judy told the police, this is the grandson. It was so painful that she forgot me. So how painful it is for the supreme lover, the divine lover, not anything material love, but selfless, pure love of the Father for all his sons and daughters who left him. We should be embarrassed. No one should be proud. What you have to be proud of, your wealth, your fame, your achievements, even your humanitarian achievement, you have nothing to be proud of. You turned your back on God. And by turning your back on the light, you only see the shadow. So turning our back on God, we see the shadow of material existence, the darkness of ignorance. We forget who we are. We forget who is Krishna. And we struggle for existence, the human race. The only hope is divine grace. So Krishna comes. He comes out of his causeless mercy. He comes. And he comes in, he's the most intelligent. All intelligence comes from him. He's the source of all intelligence. So however he can do it, he comes and engages. Even he'll come and denounce the Vedas. What? He's the source of the Vedas. Veda Vyas, Shaktavashavatar. You could say Krishna. Shaktava, a particularly empowered personality. He wrote down the Vedas for the benefit of all human society, along with Ganesh. Ganesh was dictating. He wrote all the Vedas, and that is our foundation. of our, Prabhupada said, religion without philosophy is sentiment. And philosophy without religion is mental speculation. A nice coined phrase. Prabhupada coined a lot of phrase. Religion without philosophy is just sentiment, and philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So people practice religion, okay, but there's no strong foundation. They don't know who God is. How can you love someone you don't even know who they are? It's not niti. It's not logic and reasoning. How you can love someone you know nothing about. I love Mr. Smith. He lives in Norway. Well, what's he like? I haven't got a clue. So the beauty of the Vedas, especially our branch of the Vedas, Gaudiya Vaishnav tradition coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanga, is Radha and Krishna. Who can know Radha and Krishna better than him? Who knows you better than you? When you look in the mirror, you know all the good, the bad, and the ugly. So all good, Sudasattva. Krishna, he knows himself best. So he comes. He comes to this world in very intelligent ways. As a dwarf, as a swan, Hamsa, he comes as half man, half lion, and somehow or other. And he even came and denounced the Vedas. Well, wait a minute, you just said that he's giving us the Vedas. He rescued the Vedas. He rescued the Vedas as Matsya Avatar. He rescued the Vedas. And he came and then he denounced the Vedas. Who is that? Buddha. Om Mani Padme Hum. You see? Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. These are, don't tell anyone, but don't tell immigration, but these are ivory beads, hundreds of years old, passed down in disciplic succession from different Buddhist masters. We were just in China, and one Buddhist master, we eventually got these beads, and Buddha had 18 apostles, like Jesus Christ, he had apostles, his direct representative. Buddha had 18. So in the old days, the Buddhist monks, they would chant on these type of beads. Nowadays you won't find them. They're as rare as a Chintamani gem. And on each bead, there's a depiction of that particular saint, one of the 18 saints. 12 or 18? 18 saints. I have to count them. So there's a depiction of him, and plus a beautiful poem glorifying him. So like that. So I was given these beads. Oh, you're chanting on Buddhist beads. Yeah. Om Mani Padme Hum, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Actually, I chant my Nrsimha mantras. I have some special Nrsimha mantras I chant on these beads. Because Buddha is Krishna. He's his 9th incarnation, according to Srimad Bhagavatam. And he came to denounce the Vedas. Like what? Because people were misusing the Vedas. There's an injunction in the Vedas that if you are so attached to eating meat, then you can eat meat under these particular circumstances, and then you'll come to your senses that it's wrong. There's some injunction. It's very fallen. Krishna wants to deliver everyone. Everyone's his sons and daughter. Even if your son or daughter goes into English society and becomes a drunkard, a drug abuser, you still love them. He commits a crime. You tell the judge, but he's my boy. He doesn't deserve. He's a good boy. He's not a good boy. He's a good boy. So Buddha denounced the Vedas because that injunction that you can kill an animal, not never cow, but like chicken, goat, sheep. Well, wait a minute, that doesn't sound religious. Well, the mantra that you chant in the goat's ear before you slaughter it to eat it is mamsa, miyu. Mamsa is a word in Sanskrit for meat. hello, like, wake up, wake, Sri Prahlad, Village of Peace, wake up. Mamsa means me, you. It means in the dark night, what's it called, the dark night? Anuvasa. Amavasa is the dark night, when there's no moon or this little sliver of the moon. You take the goat and you whisper, there's a mantra. I'm not going to say it, but it has this word mumps in it. As I'm killing you to eat you, in your next life, I give you permission to kill me and eat me. Mantras are very powerful. Prabhupada, I heard a tape recently, Prabhupada said, or rather one of my godbrothers told me, he heard Prabhupada say, that in this world, especially in Kali Yuga, everything deteriorates, except jewels and mantras. The potency of a jewel, a good jewel with no imperfections, that potency never diminishes in Kali Yuga. And a mantra, because it's Shabda Brahma, it's a transcendental sound vibration, the potency of that mantra never diminishes. We're in Kali Yuga, the worst of the ages, and we're chanting the Maha Mantra, the greatest mantra, which gives the greatest deliverance back home, back to Godhead. It's never affected by the evils of this world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. We forget, we become familiar with the chanting. We have to be reminded again and again and again of its full potency. So it's Maha Mantra. It means that the value of any other mantra is there in the Maha Mantra. Maha means all the mantras. Whatever benefit is there, you can get from the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But ultimately, you'll be like Dhruva Maharaj, who came to the conclusion that I was looking for broken pieces of glass, my Lord. But now that I have come, he wanted a kingdom. He wanted so many things. Now that I have you, I'm perfectly happy. So a devotee may have to go through that, different stages, but the mantra will bring you to the perfection. So we should chant with a gusto. Very seriously, we should chant Hare Krishna. So Buddha, he came and he denounced. He said, stop the Vedas, because people were mad. They were killing and slaughtering so many animals. Slaughter, slaughter. But it's an injunction for a few lower class people, not Khatriyas and Brahmanas, the higher echelons of society. No, it's everyone. So he said, stop it. And people stopped it. But in order to attract the general mass at that time, he just spoke some part of Vedic wisdom. And he denounced the material world, basically, as illusion. But the reality, he said, was that when you become perfectly self-realized, then there's no soul, there's no supreme soul, there's only nothing, actually, void. This is Nivishesha Shunyavadi, Mayavad, and impersonal philosophy. So that was a particular time, place, and circumstance. So he's tricky. He's very tricky. As Mohini, he tricked everybody. You know, there was that pot of nectar, and there was this tug of war between the Devatas and the demons. They wanted that pot of nectar, which gave longevity, etc. Big tug of war. So he appeared as Mohini, and anyway, it's a long pastime. He tricked the demons, and the devotees got the pot of nectar. So all that business is going on, but we're very fortunate because the trickster Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared as a devotee. He's the worshipable personality of all devotees. He's the only one who's not a devotee. Of course, he's devoted to Srimati Radharani, but that's another class. Radharani doesn't do what Krishna says. Krishna does what Radha says. So she's topmost in Vrindavan. They don't say Jai Shri Krishna like they do in Jaipur, they say Jai Sri Radhe. She's the queen of Vrindavan. That's another pastime. But he's the most worshipable person, Purushottam. Purushottam means the greatest amongst male personalities. And Purushottam means the lowest amongst men and women. He's Purushottam. Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitanam, Eko Bahanam, Yovadidati Kamam. Out of all the eternal living beings, including you and me, there's Eka, there's one who's fulfilling the desires of everyone else. We think we're in control, but did we make the wind, the water, the earth, the vegetables? We're totally dependent on God, but at the same time rebellious. Hello? Don't expect so much if you're going to be rebellious. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, Mr. Atheist. Anyway, so because in Kali Yuga, this philosophy of Shankaracharya and the modern day scientists, which is, it's similar, there's no God, there's no soul, etc., is so popular. Krishna didn't come as God, because everyone would want to imitate him. So he came as a devotee to teach us how to love God. And he's so attractive, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You read the writings of the Goswamis, you read Prabodhananda Saraswati, Chaitanya Chandra, what is his book? Chaitanya Chandramrita. Radharasa Sudhanidhi. You read these books about glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you see how much bhav, how much love these personalities had for him. And they knew who he was. He came as a devotee, but he couldn't fool his most intimate associates, because when Krishna comes from the spiritual world, he doesn't come alone. Prabhupada said when a king goes to a foreign land, he takes his whole entourage, his family, his ministers, his soldiers, his people. So when Krishna comes to the material world for the purpose of reminding us who we are and giving us a process where we can reconnect with him, the word religion that comes from the Latin verb regulio, which means to reconnect. Just like yoga means to reconnect. It's all about reconnection. When he comes, he brings the world with him, the whole spiritual world and all the inhabitants. And thus his confidential associates are in the spiritual world, the most confidential associates are the Sakis and the Manjaris, because they perform the most intimate services for Krishna and Radharani. So they also come, but they appear as male personalities. Rupa Goswami, who's Rupa Goswami? Rupa Manjari. All the Goswamis were Manjaris. So Lord Chaitanya came, and in his youth, he didn't tell everybody he's God. He was Nimai Pandit. Pandit means someone who knows the scriptures. Who knows the scriptures better than Krishna? But he didn't tell anyone. He was a naughty boy. He'd go to the Ganges rivers, and the Brahmins are, bathing there, and he'd go underwater and pinch their backsides and splash spit water in their face and play around with them. He's naughty boy. But he was undefeatable. The Digvijayas, the traveling pundits, Digvijay means the person who defeats all the other pundits. They couldn't defeat little Nimai Pandit. He had his own school teaching. But it came time for the Yuga Dharma. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Shangopanga Shaparshadam Yagnai Sankatan Prayar Yashantihi Shu Medashaha. People say, where's your Mahaprabhu mentioned in scriptures? We hear about the 10 incarnations in the Bhagavad Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. Where does it say that you're Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Right there, 11th canto. That the Supreme Lord would appear in the Kali Yuga, but he would be recognized by the fact that he's chanting his own sweet holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. He's chanting his own sweet holy names. And he's surrounded by his devotees who are also chanting his own sweet holy names. That's how you can recognize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it came to one point that he wanted to introduce the Yuga Dharma, the process for Krishna consciousness. And well, he started by chanting that mantra kind of confidentially with his close associates in the house of Srivas Thakur, Srivas Pandit at night. Only his pure devotees would come. They already knew who he was, but they didn't tell anybody. It wasn't time to break open the storehouse of love of God just yet. He was like a teenager. It wasn't time. He knows time I am. He knows the time to break open the storehouse of love of Godhead by flooding the world with the Maha Mantra. Or even Jagai and Madai can become great devotees of the Lord. But he didn't fool his close associates. Although he was Nimai the scholar. No. Just like if it's Halloween, do they have Halloween in England? Like America, we have Halloween. And you dress up as witches and ghosts and hobgoblins and so many things. So he's hidden. He's Sachana avatar. But he couldn't fool his friends. Because if your mom and dad dress up like a ghost and a hobgoblin and an alligator or whatever on Halloween, you know who they are. They come outside, ooh, Mom, stop it. Dad, you're so silly, looking like a ghost. Go back in. This is for children. So you couldn't fool Haridas Thakur. You couldn't fool Kaviraj Goswami. You couldn't fool Rupa and Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatt. Right? No, you couldn't fool them. They knew. They were waiting for the Sankirtan movement to start. They were waiting. So those kirtans in Shiva Sangam, they were really... Then one day he said, out. Out! Like one day at 26th 2nd Avenue, devotees were relishing Prabhupada's personal association. For months on end, he would give, you hear those classes, 1966, you should hear them. He's speaking very eloquently, very deep philosophy, actually, Prabhupada in those 1966 classes. And everyone's kind of sitting like, yeah, wow, they don't really know what's happening. But then one day Prabhupada said, out. And there's that famous video, something on 26th Avenue, I forget what the video is called. And the devotee, what's his name? Brahmananda's playing a big drum. Somebody has this, and they're kind of, they got their dhotis on like sheets, and they're kind of hesitant to go out. The first Harinam party in New York. And they went out, and they came back in bliss. Because it's better to give than it is to receive, according to Jesus. They were relishing the kirtans with Prabhupada, dancing in ecstasy. Prabhupada said, out. So Mahaprabhu, at one point, he said, out. Out. So we're fortunate. This incarnation couldn't hide himself very long. And of course, those devotees, there's devotees of Matsya, there's devotees of Kurma, there's devotees of Narasimha, there's devotees of Vamana on the Vaikuntha planets. Every incarnation who came to this world collected some souls, made some devotees. Like Prabhupada would come to the temples, I remember in Detroit. I thought he was going to speak on some Rasa Tattva thing. He said, so, how many books have you distributed? How many devotees have you made? Pariprashana Sevaya. How do we become Krishna conscious? By staying at Radhakund and chanting 192 rounds a day? No. Prabodhana Saraswati says, by serving the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one receives the blessings of Srimati Radharani. Work now, samadhi later. So that's the Sankirtan. What's good enough for God? He went out, Udila Aruna. He would go to all the villages every morning chanting with his devotees. If it's good enough for God, it's good enough for God's children. It may take some time to get used to. But if Vaisheshika Prabhu comes to some place, there's this mass conversion, everyone's back out on the streets distributing books. It takes an empowered devotee like Vaisheshika Prabhu to reignite the Sankirtan movement. I heard he was here recently. Powerful devotee. Shlokawala. Backs up everything with scripture. So this particular time is a glorious time in the history of mankind. We're very fortunate. We're doing Sankirtan. We're giving the topmost message of religion. The residents of Vrindavan's love for Krishna, it's selfless love, as demonstrated by the gopis. The remnants of previous ages who didn't make it back to Godhead in Satya, Treta, or Dwapara, we're the burnt remnants. Somehow we're being engaged in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement to spread it. It's amazing, actually. It's therefore Rupa Goswami, when he first saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did he say? Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prem Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Go Trishe Nama. Who are you? He knew, because he's Rupa Manjari, but for our benefit, he said, who are you? You're this effulgent sannyasi, 7 feet tall. Your long arms, your hands go down to your knees. Your eyes go to your ears. Your lips are red like bimbo fruits. And you're effulgent, tapta kanchana gorange, because you have the mood of Srimati Radharani. You've come to experience it. And you're giving the topmost understanding of dharma. Love for the divine couple in Vrindavan, where you can be Krishna's best friend, you can be his lover, he'll be your child. Where is that concept in any other religious tradition? So Rupa was, you could say in modern times, he was floored. And who are you giving this message to? The people of Kali Yuga. Varaha Purana says, Kalo Sudra Samvavan. At best, everyone in Kali Yuga is a Sudra. But now, Malecha Yavana. We're born in Malecha Desh, Yavana Desh, and sinful activity becomes the norm, and we're proud of it. We're so fallen. We're so conditioned. How can we ever understand the message of Godhead? Well, Krishna is very merciful, but Lord Chaitanya is more merciful than Krishna. And Prabhupada is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. If we had to follow Gaudiya Vaishnavism like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced it, all these ladies would be 100 meters away from a sannyasi. Ladies would not get Gayatri Mantra. We, as men, would not be qualified to go out and preach Sanatana Dharma on the streets. Prabhupada changed it all. Because his godbrother, Sridhar Swami, said, he's Shaktaveshavatar. Shaktaveshavatar. He's a particularly empowered personality who's come to spread the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our founder Acharya. And we're all his sons and daughters, and grandsons and granddaughters. One time I heard Prabhupada say, sometimes the grandfather is more merciful to the grandchild than the father. So, I didn't get to see Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, sometimes the grandfather is more merciful. It falleth from heaven like a gentle rain upon the heads of those below. Shakespeare. Anyone who takes up the mission of the Father, the business of the Father, gets the blessings of the Father. You see in India, Agrawal and Sons, Patel and Sons. So Prabhupada and sons and daughters, that's ISKCON. That we can take pride in. Pride's there. We can take pride. But we have to have the mood of our Father. That we want nothing to do with this material world. We want everything to do with the spiritual world. That's nicely described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the pioneer of the Krishna conscious movement, in his Gita Vali. Beautiful prayers, Gita Vali, there's different prayers. And in one of the prayers, he writes as follows. It's one of my favorite. My Lord, I submit the following prayer at your lotus feet. I do not pray to you for physical leisure, time off, breaks, vacations, for mundane learning, but still you kids have to go to school, okay? Wealth. Well, don't worry, most devotees aren't wealthy. Or followers. I do not pray for heaven, Shvargaloka, or salvation. I do not pray for any of these opulences. This is how we're meant to think. We're so fallen, we don't even know what questions to ask. We don't know how to think. We're like infants in spiritual life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling us how we should be as members of the Krishna Conscious Movement in July 2024. In whatever birth I take, wherever my karma leads me, let me sing the glories of your holy name, birth after birth. This alone is my cherished hope. This alone my aspiration. This alone my prayer at your lotus feet. Let causeless and uninterrupted devotion awaken within my heart and flow towards you. When, oh when will that day be ours? Let me love your lotus feet as much as I now love sense gratification. Wow. Rupa Goswami puts it differently. He says, as young boys are attracted to young girls, and young girls are naturally attracted to young boys, let me be attracted in a transcendental way to your divine lotus feet. It takes discipline, adherence to all the rules and regulations. The word disciple comes from the word discipline. We can't lose our discipline. Again, let my love for your lotus feet be as much as I love sense gratification. Transfer my affection from the object of the senses to your lotus feet. Not difficult. Look how beautiful these deities are. Radha Giridhari. What's more beautiful than that? Big Ben? that circus wheel they have downtown? The Thames River? Come on. In danger or success, good fortune or disaster, let me remain equipoised. What? When there's sense gratification, people get all excited. Oh, we're going to enjoy. We'll have fun till the Yamadutas take us away. That was a mantra the Gurukul boys used to sing at New Mayapur when I was the president there. I'd say, hey, stop that. No, Pita Maharaj, we're going to have fun till the Yamadutas. We're not going to have fun. We're going to have Sankirtan. We don't want to go on Sankirtan. You're going to go. You can walk with me, learn how to distribute books. And some of them are doing that now. In success, we get elated. We don't need God. I'm so happy. I have everything. And in danger, we lose faith. Why is God doing this to me? No. Equipoised as a result of the realizations we get from deep chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Then he goes on, and let my affection for you increase day by day by the influence of the holy name. Prabhupada said that when he was in America, how was I successful? I mean, it's miraculous. Well, we just take it for granted. It's history. Prabhupada arrived in Boston. He said, I did not know whether to go left or right. He had one sponsor, Sally Agrawal and her husband. He didn't know where they were. He had a trunk of books standing on the dock. I did not know whether to go left or right. But the rest is history. Why? Prabhupada's karma? No. At his birth, the astrologer said he'll be the wealthiest man in India. It didn't happen. It could have happened, but Krishna changed it. Krishna says to Yudhishthira that my first mercy upon my devotees, I take everything away from him, so he has no recourse to take full shelter of me. Prabhupada's a personified. He was supposed to be the wealthiest person in India. Nowadays, the weddings, they cost billions of rupees. But it didn't happen. So it wasn't destiny that Prabhupada was successful in America. This is a transcendental movement. It's not ordinary, it's extraordinary. Why was Prabhupada successful? He said, because I had faith in two things. I had faith in my spiritual master, and I had faith in the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. These are the two things. Faith in the Guru. Guru Nishta. Because with the Guru, he reveals everything in due course of time. Padam gopyam api snigdhe. Shishe vachamiti shruti. Tachuryatam mahabhaga goloka mahimaduna. The Vedas say that to a loyal disciple, one may speak the confidential secret. Therefore, O most fortunate one, now please hear the glories of Goloka. Guru starts off with tattva. He reveals to you the illusion, the futility of material existence. But that's not all. If you become free from that, that's moksha. But beyond moksha is bhakti, or devotion, service to the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Radhe Shyam, Gaur Nitai, in the spiritual world. The real blessing of the Guru. The Vedas say that to a loyal disciple, one may speak the confidential secret, Braj Bhakti. This is our good fortune. This is our yearning. We yearn for these things. We have to stop yearning for those useless things that never brought us any happiness or satisfaction. But it's not easy. But there's causeless mercy. The mercy of the Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava, the Lord, the spiritual preceptor, and the Vaishnavas. Let my affection for you increase day by day. How does that affection increase? By the influence of the holy name. So chant, chant, chant. Even if you don't fully understand the glories, if you're not inclined to chant, still take the medicine. The doctor gives you antibiotics for 9 days. You start getting better after 6. You throw them away. Disease comes back. Take the full prescription. 4 regulative principles. 16 rounds a day. Minimum. And your affection for Krishna. Well, I heard Prabhupada say, I was listening to a lecture last night actually. He said, if you just chant Krishna's name once, purely, Krishna will reveal himself to you. I said, what? He said that. If you just chant Krishna once, or Rama, Hare, Sri Radhe, Krishna will appear before you. He said, therefore, because we're not chanting properly, we have to keep chanting repeatedly, ceaselessly. He said one time, if you've got time, chant Hare Krishna. Because the chanting will purify you to the stage where, when you say Krishna, a tear will fall from your eye, then your life is perfect. Everything else in life is secondary. I mean, that's strong words from a sannyasi, you know. My home, my family, my work, my country, the environment, they're supporting us. But the real thing is to awaken that love for Krishna. So chanting is the thing that's most dear to our hearts. It's the be-all and end-all of existence. When we're chanting, that's the most important part of the day. I was telling devotees today in the car, I said, I'm missing Braj. I said, I'm missing Vrindavan, you know, and all that it means to us. And I said, but I have my mala. And I can feel solace. I'll show you my mala. You're not supposed to show your mala, but I'll show you. These beads are hundreds of years old. And they're made from the root of Tulsi. The root of Tulsi, you can see very closely there. They've been chanted on for generations. And this is the ticket home. So if you know, when you're chanting, then you get this realization. Kali Kali Nam Rup Krishna Avatar. Then the age of Kali, the incarnation, or an incarnation of the Lord, is his holy name. So when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're connected to Brajasundar, the beautiful Lord of Vrindavan. If you're in Vrindavan, you can feel that, right? You go to the temple, you see Radha Shyam, Krishna Balaram, Radha Raman, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Shyam Sundar. You can really feel it. Giriraj, Govardhan. You can see Sriji out at Varshana. So when you go away, but you'll never be away from Vrindavan if you're connected to Vrindavan Sundar, Krishna, who's present in the sound of his name, Kali Kali Nam Murup Krishna Avatar. He's present there. He's Vrindavan Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Harinam Chintamani, he says that all the pastimes of Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, are present in the sound of the Mahamantra. When I read that, I was floored. I'm never away from Vrindavan. Vrindavan's a state of consciousness. Of course, if you have that state of consciousness and you're in Vrindavan, it doesn't get better than that. They have that saying, right? It doesn't get better than this. Excuse me, sir, you don't got a clue. You don't have a clue what you're saying. It doesn't get better than this if you're in Vrindavan, you're chanting Hare Krishna. But Prabhupada left Vrindavan to give the gift of the holy name to the world. And we're his sons and daughters. So we live in London and we visit Vrindavan. But we shouldn't feel separate from Vrindavan because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the pioneer, he said all the pastimes. And I've been speaking for 4.5 years in our Friday lectures. The Vrindavan series, we've been going through Stimulation for Ecstatic Love. It's a mini-series. Someone said, a Gurudev mini-series, you're up to number 84. How's that a mini-series? So, Vrindavan's our home. We forgot, but we take what Prabhupada said as truth. The words of a pure devotee are as good as the Vedas. As good as the Vedas. Vrindavan is not revealed in the Vedas as it's been revealed by the 6 Goswamis and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev, Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada. They're giving us very deep insights. It's almost as if we're not qualified, but it's like trying to teach a baby, Sanskrit when it's 2. Still, there's hope. So there's hope for us because Prabhupada's very kind. But just see what he's teaching us. I've said many times, he cooked for the devotees one day, cooked samosas. In South Africa, they say samosas. I don't know where they got that. Samosas. And then he offered them and he distributed them to the devotees by hand. And he gave one to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Tamal Krishna Maharaj ate it. He said, Prabhupada, I've never eaten a samosa like that. It's amazing. And in a kind of a transcendentally nonchalant way, Prabhupada said, oh yes, that's the recipe of Mother Yasoda. And all the devotees went silent, like, what? It's just kind of a transcendental Freudian slip. Prabhupada, like Jesus said, my cup runneth over with love. Sometimes these intimate details of the spiritual world will just flow from the heart of Prabhupada like the Ganges River, purifying the whole world. So there's one moment. Then Prabhupada didn't say anything after. He wouldn't explain. How did he know? Because he's Brajbasi. He's an eternal resident of the spiritual world. And he's come to teach us these things. The lowest people are hearing the highest. We should cherish every moment of our life, in happiness or distress. Because look what we have in front of us. We have the opportunity to go there. We're in a world which is temporary, full of ignorance and suffering. We have the opportunity to go to a world which is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Hello? We have to give up our attachments. How do you give them up? You can only give up something if you get something better. And what's the best? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. So our hearts should beat in anticipation to get home as fast as possible. Many times you've heard me, disciples, quote Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said at initiation ceremony in 1930s, I see no reason why all my disciples can't go back to Godhead in one lifetime. But we have to desire that. And we'll only give up our attachments to this world by the constant repetition of the Mahamantra. I've said many times in the last year, my god sister came for her initiation ceremony. She came up for her vows and her name, and Prabhupada said, what are the 4 regular principles? She got it right. How many rounds will you chant? Srila Prabhupada, I will chant a minimum of 16 rounds every day. And Prabhupada leaned over, why minimum? Because it's the antidote. It's the antidote to the suffering of material existence. That's the power of mantra. Like if you get bit by a cobra in India, you don't necessarily have to go to the nearest hospital to get the anti-venom. There's the villagers who are learned and practiced in mantra. And they'll come and they'll chant the mantra and the poison will go away. The antidote is mantra. I saw it in 1974. I was walking in the backfields it was really backfields then, to the Jalangi River, and I came across a farmer who was foaming at the mouth on the ground, seizure. And his friend said, I said, what? Let's get a doctor. No. What do you mean, no? You don't like him? So no, the mantra chanter's coming. I said, but he's going to die. He's not going to die. They were like, no, let's wait for him to come, And it was a Muslim man. A Muslim villager came, and he chanted mantras into his ear. I saw with my own eyes. The seizure stopped. He vomited this black liquid, and he got up. And he got up, and his friends, talking, and he rinsed his mouth out with some Jalangi jal, and he went back to work. I saw it with my own eyes. I was just a young man. I was like, wow. So I said, I really believe in Krishna consciousness because this is an amazing culture. We're the best antidote for everything. It's even better than the mantras to cure a man bitten by the cobra, because once you perfect your chanting, you go home, Krishna says, having once returned, you never come back to London again. And who wants to come back to London? I got a quote here. Let me see if I can find it. You were thinking, God, I live in London. How did I take birth here? It's always raining. So inauspicious. It's always raining. Previously, the sun never set on the British Empire, and now the sun never rises on the British Empire, which is basically just a tiny little island. Sorry, guys. So we may think, oh, this is inauspicious. You would think like that. I never see the sunshine. It's so inauspicious. But Narada Muni says the following: Tadinam duridam manye, mega chanam na duridam. Yad dinam Krishna samlapa kata piyusha varjitam. Isn't it beautiful, Sanskrit? A cloudy day is not inauspicious. But a day devoid of discussing Krishna Katha is actually inauspicious. Narada Muni ki. You catch it? A cloudy day is not inauspicious, but a day devoid of discussing Krishna Katha, that's inauspicious. So we say, rain, rain, go away, come again. No. I'm going to sit in the rain and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rain or shine. Rain or shine, the show must go on. So there's happy moments and there's difficult moments and there's tragedy. Everyone has their story. We cannot let that distract us from the chanting of Hare Krishna. Because in every situation, there's a benefit. When you're doing good, you can really, focus and relish. Happy days are here again. Da, 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 da. Happy day for devotee means that I have an opportunity to chant without distraction. Early morning, it's dark outside, everyone's sleeping. Hare Krishna, Krishna. It rolls off your tongue. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Take a walk in the parks, some beautiful parks I've seen. This is something nice about the British. They keep the parks. And you can go to the park. In New York, it's hard to find a park. London, there's so many parks you can chant there. Difficulty comes, Krishna, help me, Hare Krishna. Tragedy comes, you've lost a loved one, then your chanting really becomes Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Everything's favorable for Krishna. Every situation's favorable. If you have faith in the holy names. Shraddha, faith. What is the verse? Vidya vinaya sampane brahmani gavihasne. No. One who has full faith in the instructions of the spiritual master, in the Vedic literature, the full import of Vedic knowledge. Yasya Devi para bhaktir yatta devi tata guru. One who has faith in his guru, in his spiritual master. He honors his spiritual master as Krishna's representative. And who has faith that this, faith in the holy name. I don't have faith, but I have faith that the holy name will give me faith. There you go. I may not have faith, but I have faith that if I chant, I will get faith in the holy name. That's good enough. It's good enough. Just keep chanting. And when you chant, as was described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the attraction for Krishna will come. And you'll come to the point to realize that there's only one absolute truth. Krishna and Balaram, Radhesham, Gaura-Nitai, Prabhupada Samadhi in Vrindavan, Raman Reti, Radharaman, Ji, Radhasham Sundar, Radhagokulananda, all the great acharyas who prepared the Sankirtan movement, because all preparation until Prabhupada left. I'm sure they were all watching. When Prabhupada boarded the Jaladuta, there was only one person there, this most historic moment. For 500 years, all these great acharyas prepared for that moment, that the Sankirtan movement would go to every town and village, because their Lord said it. So at their time in history, they made some kind of preparation so it could happen. And it finally happened when Prabhupada boarded the Jaladuta. There was only one person there, his disciple. Bye-bye, Guru Maharaj. But I think there were 33 million demigods in the sky watching. And all the acharyas, like we have that Shivaram Swami, His Holiness Shivaram Swami, and his disciples made that beautiful Guru Parab painting. All the acharyas are there. Many devotees have it on their altar. I'm sure that all those acharyas were there watching as Prabhupada boarded the Jaladuta. Most significant moment in the history of the world. And we're part of that tradition. And where is that tradition meant to take us? Back home, back to Godhead. What's Godhead? Vaikuntha, yes. But it's the official kingdom of God. Vrindavan is the playground of God. You can run with him. You can play with him. You can chastise him. You can dance with him. What does London have to offer? The British Museum. See all the old stuff. Chewing the chewed. No. And how do we get there? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
How many times have I said, Prabhupada, taking a walk on the near I actually lived there, near to where Prabhupada was walking. I used to surf there, actually. Stinson Beach. They had pretty good waves. I never saw it the proper way, because when Prabhupada was walking one time, it was one of those, the surf's up. Every seventh wave is a big wave, so surf's up. And the waves were crashing, kaboom, kaboom. And Prabhupada said, what is that noise? And one devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, that is the waves crashing on the sand here at Stinson Beach. And Prabhupada, he lived in another world, even here, to be in this world but not of this world. He said one time, in my life, I never knew it was sin. And I never forgot the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. It's Prabhupada. So he saw it differently. He said, no, that is the sound of the heartbeats, that the gopis' heartbeats when they're missing Krishna. This is what it means to see Krishna everywhere. That's the gopis, that's the sound of their heart. Boom, boom. And it was a big boom, boom. So our hearts have to beat like that. We have to get to the point where our hearts are beating like, not that we new iPhone, new iWatch, new dress, new this. No. Yes, those things are there, but they're useful in helping us to sit peacefully and chant Hare Krishna, 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 Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
So we were there one time. Prabhupada said, Lord is accompanying us. Of course, there's two different philosophies. I just accept what Prabhupada said. We're falling, and he's trying to convince us to come home. We said no. But let's get to the stage where our hearts are beating like that, because that's the qualification, that amala bhakti, that pure devotion for Radhika. We can develop it here in one lifetime. We have to be in the mood of missing Vrindavan. You have to become attached, and then you can't miss something unless you get attached to it. But we have to be in that mood that we were there, and we came here, and we're missing it. So I'll conclude with one of my all-time favorite writings in Bhakti Ratnakara, Narhari Sakar.
Yeah.
Listen to this. This should be our mood now as we're finishing. Shall I, a worthless person, ever again see the deities of Govinda, Gopinath, Madan Mohan, Radha Vinod, Radha Mohan, and Radha Damodar? Will Prabhu Shri Gopal Bhatta ever bring me back to Vrindavan, or give me the opportunity to serve his lotus feet again? Shall Lokanath Goswami, the incarnation of kindness, ever bestow his grace upon me again? Catching hold of the hair of this sinner, will the gracious Bhugarbha Goswami ever bring me back to Vrindavan again? Will Raghunath Das Goswami, the embodiment of kindness, ever again fill my eyes with his divine form and fulfill my desires? Srila Jiva Goswami is the light of the poor and unfortunate people. Will I ever see his lotus feet again? O associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will you ever again bring such an unfortunate soul as me to Sri Vrindavan Dham and allow me to serve you and enjoy your company? Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Asad Goswami Vrindavan ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radhashama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Gaurnitai ki, the TOVP ki, Mother Ganges ki, Jalangi ki, Srivas Angam ki, Narasingha Bhagavan ki, Panchatattva ki, Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki, Yay Kiridas, Govardhan Lal, Pamsiwala ki, Kuluk Prem Dan, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, back home, back to Godhead ki, take all the 14 worlds with us ki, Gaur Premanandi, Jai Jai Se Radhe. Sham, 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 Hare Krishna.